this is my review of Sonic X. Okay, so in this episode, Sonic is arrested. Long story short, that's what happens. So yeah, the episode starts out with Sonic being arrested and being taken into custody, and naturally he escapes, points out that he didn't do anything. He escapes from a government plane, escapes into the sewer to hide, and then contemplates what exactly happened that caused him to be arrested. And he's not until it's because he didn't do anything. He didn't do anything, but it's implied that he broke into Prison Island, even though we never actually saw him anywhere near Prison Island. So this episode sets up the idea that Sonic did something, but we never actually see what he did. So yeah, it explains that. He was actually arrested. That he was actually arrested because he broke into Prison Island. But beyond that, he didn't really do anything, and he believes that something is wrong. And again, multiple people point out throughout this episode that they don't feel like Sonic would do something like this. They don't feel like somebody would break somebody out of prison into Prison Island and steal government files. And the president knows Project Shadow is being held in Prison Islands, and he knows that something is definitely wrong. Since he knows Sonic well enough at this point, he knows something is up. He knows something is off. And Sam Speed, who I should remind you is driving the president around now, also chimes in, pointing out that he knows Sonic just as well, and knows that Sonic would never do something like this. So it's definitely weird. So yeah, there's definitely something weird going on. But the president's new aide actually remarks that they should at the very least keep an eye on him and make sure nothing bad happens, and they should just wash their hands of it and make sure that he's actually arrested for his crimes. And then later that night, there's another break-in at the museum where there's a Chaos Emerald being held, and it's revealed to be Shadow who is actually causing all these crimes. He breaks into the museum, steals a Chaos Emerald, and leaves before the government can actually hit him. The government does try. They send their robots to defeat him, but Shadow is quickly shown to be more than a match for any of them to actually take out, and then he disappears. So yeah, they can't actually get him, but this is more than enough evidence that the government needs to actually send robots after him, and they quickly realize that he's hiding underground, and go send robots in after him, which causes Sonic to have to escape. And also during this sequence, Mr. Stewart with his reporter friend actually go into the facility, and they go into Prison Island, and which Mr. Stewart arranged since he's a government agent, and got them an interview, pointing out that it's, and the guy says it's classified, but he also points out that it's not going to stay classified for very long, and shows them footage of what actually happened of Sonic and Dr. Eggman breaking into Prison Island. But Mr. Stewart even notes that something is off. Meanwhile, because the Chaos Emerald, the news report of the Chaos Emerald being stolen by Sonic is aired on TV, and Chris and his family quickly realize that something is off. And when they discover that he's battling a government robot nearby, they proceed to get into the car and chase after him to see what exactly is going on. So yeah, Chris firmly believes that Sonic didn't do anything. They get into the car and immediately go to look for Sonic. Meanwhile, Sonic is still running from robots, but he manages to defeat them. And then a much bigger robot, which he also manages to defeat. At which point, Sonic and Shadow finally come face to face. So as it turns out, Shadow confirms that he was indeed the one that had framed Sonic for all of his crimes, and points out that they do indeed look alike. And the two do battle for a bit, but it quickly becomes apparent that Shadow is way out of Sonic's league, and Sonic isn't able to actually keep up with him since he's just real fast. Meanwhile, Chris, Chuck, and the rest come in their car and see the fight taking place, and they quickly realize that Sonic and Shadow are not the same person, and that Sonic has indeed been framed. But Sonic tries and fails to defeat Shadow, with Shadow gloating that he's far more superior than he'll ever be, and points out that he was gifted for far more power than Sonic will ever have. And then starts using Chaos Control to screw with Sonic. And Sonic quickly realizes that something's wrong because Shadow is able to use Chaos Control with 1 emerald, which isn't supposed to be a thing. So, but with Chaos Control, Sonic is quickly outpaced and defeated. And Dr. Robot and Dr. Eggman, who's watching with a little robot that he made, points out that Sonic may have finally met his match. And points out that he was a little confused at first when he first saw Shadow. At which point, it's finally revealed what actually happened at Prison Island. As it turns out, nobody broke into Prison Island. Shadow broke out of Prison Island, and that's where the footage is coming from. Dr. Eggman broke Shadow out of Prison Island and escaped. And because of Shadow's uncanny resemblance to Sonic, they assume that it was Sonic instead of Shadow, and mainly because they don't know what Shadow looks like, and proceeded to arrest Sonic instead. So Sonic basically got framed for something he didn't do, and that's an interesting dynamic for this arc. But in any case, Shadow eventually defeats Sonic and knocks him to the ground. But then the police start showing up, and he retreats, but points out that he hopes he'll see Sonic again real soon, and then retreats back to Dr. Eggman's base. At which point the police show up and proceed to arrest Sonic. And Sonic is initially contemplating resisting arrest. But then he realizes pretty quickly that they're going to be taking him to Prison Island. And considering that Shadow came from Prison Island and realizing he needs to figure out a way to clear his innocence, he decides to comply and goes to Prison Island willingly. So that he can clear his name. But in case Sonic gets arrested and is sent to Prison Island and is locked in an underwater cell so that he can't escape, which is pretty smart since Sonic's one weakness is water. But in case Dr. Eggman celebrates the fact that Shadow has managed to not only defeat Sonic but get him arrested to boot so that he won't be a problem anymore, and is happily celebrating. But Shadow points out something called the Eclipse Cannon needs more Chaos Emeralds to be able to fire, and then he'll be able to have full control of the world. And Eggman says that's fine by him. At which point, Bokoon shows up with a video message for Dr. Eggman of all people, and the message is basically that Rouge wants to meet with them. And sure enough, Rouge shows up. If not seconds later, after the TV literally explodes, because that's how televisions work, as we established, and reveals that she actually has a Chaos Emerald, and agrees to work with Dr. Eggman under her terms. So as long as Dr. Eggman behaves like a good little boy, she'll work with him. And then she and Shadow are properly introduced. So yeah, this episode just establishes some very major things for the arc, mainly that Sonic is being accused of things that Shadow has done, even though one can very clearly see that one is black and the other is blue. But it's not entirely. But yeah, if at a glance you couldn't tell if that's actually not Sonic. Shadow does look a lot like Sonic, save for the fact that he's black and has some slightly different outfit designs. But other than that, they look almost identical. It's kind of scary how closely they resemble one another. And yes, so basically Sonic has to find a way to defeat somebody and clear his name so that he can actually go back to being a hero. But in order to do that, he has to pretend to be a bad guy for a little bit. So it's gonna be interesting seeing what they actually do with this. I didn't really play Sonic Adventure 2, so I have no idea how the story plays out. But considering the fact that they did something largely different with Sonic Adventure 1, I'm interested. So yeah, that's my review of Sonic X. What did you guys think? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below, or over on my Discord server, link in the description. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, be sure to follow me on Facebook and on Twitter in the description below. And also be sure to check out my Patreon in the description below as well. It's only a couple bucks a month. It really helps me out, and you guys get access to a bunch of cool perks that I'm always saying thanks. So be sure to check those out in the description below as well. But in case, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!